Still saying Exile. I'm not. I spent the last 3 days currency flipping. So really quick, we're going to go over in this video when to flip, when not to flip, general tips for flipping currency in a productive way, the 3 different types of flip that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's more, and exactly what I'm flipping right now and what my returns are. So let's get into it. So the first question you should be asking yourself is, when should I be flipping currency? In general, I do it when I'm poor because I'm early into maps or I made bad decisions for the league, like going Magic Find Wind Ripper, and I'm just running Burial Chambers over and over, and I haven't seen a doctor yet because I'm a scrub. You can also do it when you're tired of the meticulous picking up all the objects for the Chaos recipe, but you still want a little bit of that boredom in your life. Or if you're doing something else, like making these stupid videos. Those are all 3 great times to be flipping currency. So when shouldn't you flip? You probably shouldn't be flipping currency when you're making a lot of money running maps, doing services, or just playing the game the way that you want to play it. It's a game, have fun. Flipping currency is not fun. If you don't have enough starting chaos to flip the kind of currency you want, then that's a bad time. I try to start with 10 to 20. You can go higher or lower depending on how much you care about profits, and we'll get into that in a minute. But in general, you need to have some seed money. And then if you have self-respect, self-esteem, or just aren't a broken person, then flipping currency probably isn't for you. I'm all 3 of those, so it does not apply to me. I am absolutely going to flip currency because I hate myself. Alright, some general tips about flipping currency. It's really nice to have premium tabs. That makes listing currency easier. I actually use a second currency tab separate from my normal tab to flip in, so I'll have it nice and isolated and I'll know exactly what currencies I'm working with. It's just really nice, so definitely have the premium tabs. You have to start out with some seed chaos, so like I said earlier, 10 to 20 is what I aim for, but depending on your flips, you can go higher or lower, so you do you. Only make trades you want. So this is an interesting one. You can start flipping currency by setting up 1 chaos trades, and you'll get the same percentages in returns if you want, but in general I try to go for volume. Sitting there and trading 1 chaos at a time isn't usually the most productive thing in the world. So, but depending on how you play, you might be okay with that. So set up the trades that you want, and the way you play the game will kind of dictate that. You need to track your inventory, so you should always know what kind of volume of currency you have and if you actually need to buy or sell. You don't want to get too far into one type of currency, so you don't want to spend all your chaos on buy orders and then have no one coming in to sell to. So striking a balance there takes a little bit of work. And then watch the market. And this kind of goes in with only make trades you want. You need to make sure that when you are trading that you're pretty high up on the currency list. So in general, that means you don't have to be number 1. You can be in the top 3 or 4. And depending on the kind of stock the other people have will dictate what you can and can't list for and still have people coming to you. But keep an eye on the market once an hour-ish, or if things seem to slow down, someone's probably undercut you, so go adjust your prices accordingly. So with that stuff in mind, let's talk about the different types of flips. The first one is missionary flipping. This is the one that most people have probably heard of, although I just gave it this name because it's funny to me. It's the most basic type of flip out there. You're basically creating a buy order for a currency and a sell order for the same currency but in reverse, and you're selling fewer than what you buy. So an example of that is going to be, I set up a buy order for 90 alterations for 10 chaos. Then I also set up a sell order where I'm giving the person 85 alterations for their 10 chaos. At the end of that, I end up with 5 extra alterations, which is about a 6% margin. So every time I make that flip, I'm making 6% of the money that I just invested. So in this 10 chaos scenario, it's less than a chaos, but it's still some money, right? The second type of flipping is three-way flipping, and this is definitely the hottest type of flipping out there, if you know what I'm talking about. This is basically where you take 3 different currencies and flip them all in a big circle in order to try and maximize profit. This is a little bit harder because you have to actually watch 3 different currencies and you have to play the market a little closer, but in general it'll make you more money. So an example of that, and I fucked up the slides on this, so I'm sorry, is, let's say that you were to buy 170 fuses with your 100 chaos, right? You could then, if you look at order 3, sell 160 fuses for an exalt, and then these are all hypothetical numbers, and then take that one exalt and buy that 100 chaos back. So what that means is you've got a 10 fuse profit, which is about 6 and change % on top of your initial investment, and you just constantly flip over and over. Like I said, you have to stay a lot more on top of the market, and this fuse example is kind of a bad one because in general fuses are not going to flip this way because of the way that they're in demand. So just an example, but there are flips out there that you can go look at the currency site right now and figure out those kind of margins. All right, and the third type of flipping that I know is definitely my favorite. It's the Devil's three-way. So this is technically a three-way trade, but there's really only 2 people involved. These capitalize on laziness of people or just not understanding the game mechanics with how vendoring works. And it's definitely my favorite because you make so much money. So let's look at an example of that. If I were to set up a buy order for my 1 chaos, you give me 35 whetstones. I'm going to take those whetstones and vendor them, and that yields 145 wisdom scrolls. Then I'm going to sell 100 wisdom scrolls per chaos, which means I have 45 left. It's a 45% margin. That is silly. 45% when you look at all the other trades that we've been talking about is crazy difference. These are a lot faster trades than the normal three-way because you don't have another person involved. It's just you and the vendor kind of doing your thing. And the problem with that, though, is that this can be highly volatile. These trades in very high volume, things like wisdom scrolls, the prices change a lot, so you have to stay on top of the market and figure that out. And the savvy players are going to be setting up these trades to pick up wisdom scrolls anyway. So the demand can sometimes suffer, but in general, this is a really good way to make money. So now that we know the 3 types of flips, let's actually talk about the fun stuff. What kind of things I've been flipping, what my results have been, how much money did you make, or are you just talking out your ass? So I'm personally using Missionary and Devil's 3-way flips. I find those to yield the best results. So the currency that I'm involving in this are whetstones, alterations, alchemies, sextants, wisdom scrolls, portal scrolls, things like that. I started with about 60 chaos when I decided that I hit a wall and needed to start flipping while I was also mapping. The average profit is between 75 and 150 chaos per hour while I'm doing other stuff. So if I get a whisper while I'm in a map, I'll just pop open a portal and jump out, and in 15 seconds I will have made a bunch of money. And I made 237 chaos while I was editing this video, and that's, yes, partly because I'm slow at this, but also because currency flipping is a nice thing to do while you're just kind of AFK doing your thing. So at the end of the day, I started with 60. I ended up with about 1,500 chaos over the last 2 or 3 days while still playing the game. Still no doctor drops, so go me. But it's a good way to at least get over that hurdle of I need more money to finish my build or progress or whatever, but farming the maps that I'm farming, I'm just not getting it, right? So final thoughts on flipping. It's really good for early and mid levels of Atlas progression. So like I just said, if you hit that wall, this is something that's worthwhile to do for a little bit while you still grind out maps to try and progress in your Atlas, or just, you know, get to where you want to get in the game. Crafting, running services, high level maps and stuff, definitely beat this out for chaos per hour, and it's more fun because you're playing the game, so that's really nice. And one thing to keep in mind is flipping currency doesn't really scale with your currency stock. So when I had 1,500 chaos, that the number of flips that I was making stayed the same as when I had 100, right? So it's not like you're taking all this money and then just, hey, 45% on top of that, right? It's 45% on a very small set piece of your money, and it's consistent, but it doesn't scale with the rest of your money. So once you get enough chaos, it's usually smarter to take that, invest it in your character, and start working towards some of these better money-making options. And that about wraps it up. I look forward to, if you guys have any questions, comments about this, drop it in the Reddit thread, drop it down below in the comments. Interested to hear what you guys are flipping, what kind of returns you're making. If you're still confused about flipping, I'll give you a hand. Just reach out. It's a lot of fun. Well, no, flipping's not fun, but it's a way to make money. So thanks again, guys. You know, you gotta flip or something to get some currency. Ooh, baby, I like exalts. Yeah, baby, I like exalts. Ooh, baby, I like exalts. Yeah, baby, I like exalts.